I always thought my wife's black pot was just ordinary until I noticed she never ate from it, only served me. We were barely a month into our marriage, and I was proud to finally be called a married man. Every morning, breakfast was always ready. Her meals tasted so good that sometimes after eating, I'd forget about work and sleep off. But one thing stood out. Whenever she cooked for me, she always used that special black pot. At first, I didn't care, until one day, I walked into the kitchen and saw her using it. Smiling, I asked, "I've never seen a pot like this. Is that why your food is always so sweet? Where did you buy it?" She laughed lightly. "You ask too many questions. Anyway, my grandmother gave it to me as a wedding gift." "Oh, I see." Before I could say more, she quickly changed the subject, making jokes and laughing. But the next evening, something happened. I got home before her and decided to surprise her with her favorite, jollof rice. As I was about to start, I remembered the black pot. A thought crossed my mind. Why not use it? I searched until I found it, tucked carefully out of sight. Excited, I cooked with it, plated the food, and waited proudly for her return. When she came in, the aroma filled the room. "Honey, what's going on?" she asked. "Come to the dining," I said with a grin. "I made your favorite." Her eyes lit up. "Wow, I can't wait to eat." She sat down, picked up her spoon, and smiled. Out of excitement, I blurted, "I even used your special black pot this time." Her smile vanished instantly. The spoon slipped from her hand. I froze. "Honey, is there a problem?" I asked. She said nothing, just stood up quietly and walked outside. I followed her outside. She stood quietly, her eyes fixed on the fading evening sky, as if lost in thought. "I don't understand what's going on," I said, trying to stay calm. "Why didn't you touch the food from the black pot?" She said nothing. "I need answers," I pressed, firmer this time. Without looking at me, she whispered, "Nothing. I'm not hungry." "You're not what?" I demanded. Slowly, she turned to me. "Honey, you're taking this too far." "I don't know why. I just lost my appetite." I frowned. "There's something you're not telling me. Now all of a sudden you've lost appetite?" She sighed. "All right, I'll eat a little later." "Will that make you happy?" I hesitated, then nodded. She hugged me, and for a moment, I let it go. Later that evening, I dozed off on the couch. When I woke up, the food on the dining table was gone. Smiling to myself, I thought, finally she ate. But when I went into the kitchen to drop some trash, I froze. The food was in the bin. She had thrown it all away. Anger surged through me. I called her over. "What's the meaning of this?" "From today, no more use of this black pot. It's a gift from my grandmother." "I've told you before," she protested. "I don't care." I grabbed the pot and stormed outside. "Honey!" she kept calling, but I didn't stop. I smashed the pot and flung it far away. I expected her to cry, to shout, to say something, but she only smiled. I thought everything was normal. That night, when she thought I was asleep, she crept out of bed. I heard her whispering on the phone in the kitchen. I couldn't make out who she was speaking to. By morning, she served me breakfast, smiling as if yesterday had never happened. Then she said, "Honey, my grandmother is coming to town for an event. She will use the chance to visit us." I smiled faintly, thinking it was just an ordinary visit. I didn't know then. It was something darker. That evening, a knock came at the door. It was her grandmother. My wife ran excitedly to welcome her. I greeted the old woman politely, but she didn't respond. She paused and looked at me as if I had crossed an invisible line. A chill ran down my spine. I didn't know my wife had told her grandmother that I threw away the black pot, the same pot she always used to cook for me, but never ate from herself. Now her grandmother was here. She ignored my greetings, her piercing eyes fixed on me like she came with a mission. At first, I brushed it off. She's only staying for a few days, I thought. That night, my wife and her grandmother chatted while I watched the news. When sleep weighed me down, I said, "Honey, I'm going to bed. Take care of Grandma." I slept peacefully until morning. When I woke, my wife was still in bed. Strange, she always rose before me. I tapped her gently. She only stretched. "I'm not going to work today," she said softly. "I'll stay with Grandma." Surprised, I asked, "So, no breakfast?" She smiled faintly. "There's bread. Just make some tea." As I stepped out of the room, I heard it, Grandma's chilling laughter from the guest room. I didn't know my foot had pressed on something she placed at the doorway. I ignored it and went to the kitchen. But when I sat at the dining table with my tea, everything changed. Suddenly, I picked up my phone without thinking and called my office. "I'm resigning," I said. The director's voice was shocked. "Sir, what happened? I said I want to resign. Is that your problem?" I shouted, then hung up. I resigned, just like that, for no reason. Days passed. I cooked, cleaned, washed dishes, ran errands, like a houseboy. Meanwhile, Grandma made herself at home. She controlled everything. One day, my wife finally spoke up. "Grandma, I thought the essence of all this was to make him love me more and not cheat. You first gave me the black pot, then that thing you placed at the bedroom door. But now he's not himself anymore. He hardly talks. Sometimes he cries. And I don't like him sitting at home all day. For how long? He is distant. I'm not enjoying my marriage." Grandma looked at her calmly. "I'm not here to save your marriage. I'm here for revenge. That's why I gave you the black pot." "What?" my wife gasped. "Listen," Grandma said, "let me tell you what they did to me." My wife leaned closer, desperate to hear the real reason her grandmother had given her the black pot, and warned her never to eat from it. Her grandmother's eyes darkened. "Our family has been poor because of your husband's father," she said coldly. "He put us in this condition." My wife froze. "Grandma, how?" Grandma's voice trembled with anger as she continued. "There was a piece of land rich with oil. We farmed there every day. Then the authorities came to buy it. But your husband's father claimed it belonged to him. Because of his influence, he won. We begged him, pleaded for even a small share. But he refused. He took the money and left us with nothing." My wife shook her head, her voice breaking. "But Grandma, my husband should not be punished for what his father did. He knew nothing about this." Grandma's face hardened. Her voice grew sharp. "No, since I cannot reach the father, his son will pay. He will be poor and miserable, worse than we were. That is why I gave you the black pot. That is why I placed that thing at your bedroom door. And it is working, gradually." Then she laughed bitterly. Tears welled up in my wife's eyes. "But Grandma, I love him. He's my husband. Please don't do this. Don't talk about love," Grandma snapped. "You cannot love the man I hate. You must leave this house. There are countless men out there, far better than him." "No, Grandma," my wife whispered. "Yes," Grandma insisted. "We are leaving tonight. Worse is coming upon him. I will not allow you to suffer with him. Decide now. Leave and live in peace, or stay and suffer in misery." My wife's lips trembled. Tears streamed down her face as she walked slowly to the window, her body shaking with sobs. Meanwhile, in the bedroom, my phone buzzed again and again. It was my father calling. When I didn't answer, he sent a message. "Son, I heard you resigned. Call me back. Tell me what's going on." I stared at the text, my chest tightening. Something in me wanted to answer gently, but instead, I dialed his number and barked into the phone. "Let this be the last time you call me. Leave me alone. All of you, leave me alone." My father's voice broke on the other end. This can't be my son." "Something is wrong." Before he could finish, I hung up. That night, Grandma quietly packed her things. She was waiting for my wife to gather her clothes so they could leave me behind. My wife turned and looked at me. Tears rolled freely down her cheeks. She didn't know what to do, whether to stay with me or leave with Grandma. As for me, I sat on the couch, staring blankly. My mind was foggy. I didn't even understand what was happening around me. Suddenly, there was a loud knock on the door. Grandma's eyes narrowed. She turned sharply to my wife. "Are you expecting anyone?" My wife shook her head quickly. "No." Her hands trembled as she reached for the door handle. When my wife opened the door, she froze. Standing there was my father. The black pot, the same one Grandma gave my wife with instructions never to eat from, had already changed my life. And now, instead of welcoming my own father, I shouted at him. "Leave my house! I don't want to see you!" He stood motionless. Tears rolled down his cheeks as he looked at me, then at my wife's grandmother. "So it's you," he said bitterly. "You came here to ruin my son's life? And destroy his home?" Grandma's eyes flickered with shock. She hadn't expected him. Her plan was to leave that night with my wife. "What did you do to my son?" my father demanded, his voice trembling with anger. Still, Grandma said nothing. Then my wife broke down and confessed everything. How Grandma had given her the black pot with strict instructions. Cook only for him. Never eat from it yourself. All because Grandma believed our family had stolen her land. "What?" My father's voice shook with fury. "Land? That land never belonged to you. We only allowed you to farm on it when you begged us. And how many times did you come for help? Did we not assist you? Yet you repay kindness with wickedness?" My wife turned to her grandmother, her voice heavy with pain. "Grandma, why? Is that true? How could you do this to him?" The room turned against Grandma. She stayed silent, lips pressed tight. Then my father lifted his voice in prayer, calling on God to intervene. Suddenly, Grandma reached into her bag, her hands trembling. My wife rushed forward, grabbed her wrist, then an egg slipped out, shattering on the floor. At once, my foggy mind cleared. My senses returned. "What's happening?" I asked, confused. Grandma's strength broke. She shook violently, sweat pouring down her face. "Please," she cried, "the heat, it's too much. Forgive me, please." My father took a deep breath, his voice low. "The consequences of your actions we cannot change. Let God be the judge. As humans, we forgive you, but we cannot let you remain here." Grandma shook violently, then stumbled out, sweating, trembling, utterly defeated. My wife threw her arms around me, sobbing. My father embraced us too. Together we knelt as he placed his hands on us. "From today," he declared, "no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Every tongue that rises against you shall be condemned." Peace returned to my heart. The chains were broken. Our family was lively again. I went back to work, and by grace, they welcomed me again. Since that day, we never heard from Grandma. The end.